An exchange transfusion is a potentially life-saving procedure that is done to counteract the effects of serious jaundice or changes in the blood due to disease such as sickle cell anemia. The procedure involves slowly removing the patient's blood and replacing it with fresh donor blood or plasma. An exchange transfusion requires the patient's blood be removed and replaced. In most cases, this involves placing one or more catheter into blood vessel. The exchange transfusion is done in cycles, each one most often lasts a few minutes. The person's blood is slowly withdrawn, most often about 5 to 20 ml at a time depending on the patient's size and severity of illness. An equal amount of fresh, pre-warmed blood or plasma flows into the person's body. This cycle is repeated until the correct volume of blood has been replaced. After the exchange transfusion, catheters may be left in place in case the procedure needs to be repeated. In disease such as sickle cell anemia, blood is removed and replaced with donor blood. In conditions such as neonatal polycythemia, a specific amount of the child's blood is removed and replaced with the normal saline solution, plasma, or albumin. This decreases the total number of red blood cells in the body and makes it easier for blood to flow throughout the body. The indications for transfusion are dangerously high red blood cell count in newborn, or also known as neonatal polycythemia, Rh-induced hemolytic disease of the newborn, severe disturbances in body chemistry, severe newborn jaundice that does not respond to phototherapy with Billy lights, severe sickle cell crisis, and toxic effects of certain drugs. Blood volumes. The volume of blood for exchange is calculated using an estimate of the neonate's circulating blood volume. In term infants, 80 ml per kg; in preterm infants, 100 ml per kg. Double volume exchange transfusion, that is most commonly used for removal of bilirubin and antibodies. It replaces approximately 85% of the blood volume, which will cause an approximate reduction of 50% of the pre-exchange bilirubin level. Single volume exchange transfusion replaces approximately 60% of the blood volume, and it is considered when etiology is not hemolytic disease of the newborn. Then is partial exchange transfusion for polycythemia using normal saline, where desired hematocrit following exchange transfusion is 0.55. The volume of exchange can be calculated by the formula. Equipments required for exchange transfusion. Number first, radiant warmer. Number second, respiratory support, that is ventilators, ET tube, ambu bag, etc. Number third, suction equipment. Number fourth, multi-channel monitor for heart rate, respiratory rate, and SpO2. Number fifth, umbilical catheterization set. Number sixth, NG tube and umbilical catheter. Number seventh, disposable syringes. Number eighth, three-way stopcock connector. Number 9th, sterile gloves. Number 10th, IV tubings. And number 11th, waste receptacles. Next are complications. The most commonly reported adverse events during or soon after exchange transfusion are: number first, catheter related complications, that is air emboli, thrombosis, or hemorrhage. Number second, hemodynamic, related to excess removal of injection of blood, that is hypo or hypertension, intraventricular hemorrhage. The third is hypo or hyperglycemia. Number fourth, hypocalcemia, hypercalcemia, and acidemia. Potential complications related to exchange transfusion are arrhythmias, bradycardia, neutropenia, dilutional coagulopathy, feed intolerance, necrotizing enterocolitis, septicemia, blood-borne infection, and hypo or hyperthermia. Next is preparation of the infant. When an exchange transfusion is taking place, ensure resuscitation equipment and medications are easily accessible. Nurse infant under radiant warmer for accessibility. Ensure infant is comfortable and settled. Sedation and pain relief are not usually required unless the infant is active and likely to compromise line stability or sterile field. Ensure full cardiorespiratory monitoring and document full set of baseline information, that is temperature, respiratory and heart rate, blood pressure and oxygenation. Infant should be near per oral as soon as decision is made to perform exchange transfusion. Insert nasogastric or oropharyngeal tube and aspirate stomach contents. Leave tube in situ and on free drainage for duration of the procedure. Before commencing exchange transfusion, collect blood samples for required baseline blood and any specific testing required. Tests may include blood cultures, blood gas, serum bilirubin, blood glucose, FBC, UEC, newborn screening test, hematological, chromosome or metabolic studies. Ensure vascular access for procedure if already if not already in situ, and depending on whether the procedure will be performed via arterial and venous access or via single venous access. Check blood as per RCH procedure of blood transfusion. Next are equipments: plastic aprons or protective gowns, protective eye wear, sterile gloves, blood warming extension set, blood administration set, water feed set, urine drainage bag, exchange transfusion record sheet, sterile drape, three-way taps, syringes assorted size as required, blood gas syringes, drawing up needles, sleek tape, sodium chloride and water for injection, emergency resuscitation equipment including medications and fluids, pathological collection tubes as required, alcohol swabs, sterile gauze, and packed red blood cells or fresh frozen plasma. Next is setup. Exchange transfusion should not be performed slowly over approximately 2 hours to avoid major fluctuations in blood pressure. Anticipate the need for increased oxygen requirement during procedure. Set the blood warmer at 41 degrees Celsius. Blood warming extension set should be threaded on the blood warming coil while it is not primed. Start at the back of the device and wind anti-clockwise toward the front 8 times. Check red blood cells for use as per RCH procedure of blood transfusion. Use aseptic techniques. Connect the blood transmission set to the blood warming coil and clamp off the lines. Insert the administration set, spike into the bag of red cells. Release the clamp and prime the line or coil with blood. Clamp off the lines and maintain the sterility of the end of the line. Attach the water feed set to the urine drainage bag, secure with a strip of sleek. Do not remove pin from set. Self-closing clamp on the water feed set. Fasten the urine drainage below the cot. Strict aseptic technique should be maintained throughout the procedure. Record baseline observations prior to commencement of procedure. Exchange transfusion involves the sequential withdrawal and injection of aliquots of blood through arterial and venous lines, either peripheral or central. Note: arterial lines, umbilical or peripheral, should not only be used for withdrawal of infant blood, not for injection of donor blood. Always check three-way tap settings to ensure blood withdrawal and infusion flows in the correct direction to prevent accidental loss or infusion of blood. The registered nurse should observe the infant throughout the exchange transfusion and record the following on the exchange transfusion record sheet: volume of blood withdrawn and injected at the end of each cycle, that is aliquot; infant temperature, heart rate, respiratory rate, blood pressure, oxygen requirement, oxygen saturation, blood warmer temperature, general condition of infant every 15 minutes. If phototherapy lights remain on during procedure, they should be turned off frequently to assess infant color and general condition. Observe infant for clinical signs of complications of exchange transfusion, that is, agitation due to hypokalemia, signs of hypoglycemia, administration of medications as required, routine observations should continue to be recorded on the ICU or NNU observation chart each hour as per standard procedure. Glucose and blood gas should be monitored at least pre, mild, and post exchange and more frequently as indicated to manage metabolic and electrolyte derangements. After each 100 ml of blood exchanged, flush line with 0.9% sodium chloride, administer 1 ml of 10% calcium gluconate diluted with 1 ml of water for injection by slow push pull followed by a 0.9% sodium chloride flush. The calcium gluconate should not come into direct contact with donor red cells or clotting may occur. Monitor for changes in heart rate and rhythm during calcium gluconate administration. The last withdrawal volume should be saved for post-exchange blood tests. Note: cease exchange transfusion if infant's condition suddenly deteriorates. If the exchange transfusion is ceased for any reason, always leave the infant's blood volume in balance. Sudden deterioration in infant's condition may be related to the procedure, underlying condition, or an adverse reaction to transfusion. A transfusion adverse reaction should be made. Post-exchange care. Continuously monitor vital signs and record 30 minutely for first 4 hours post-procedure. Routine observations as per NICU observation chart should be continued for 24 hours. Phototherapy needs to be continued post-exchange and reviewed with the results of the SBR 2 hours post-procedure. Further, SBR levels at approximately 6-hour intervals. Observe the infant's behavior and catheter sites for bleeding or signs of infection. Keep infant NBM for at least 4 hours post-exchange transfusion or longer at the direction of the medical officer, as exchange transfusion carries a potential risk of necrotizing enterocolitis, especially in the preterm infant. Monitor the appearance of the abdomen and the presence of bowel sounds. Observe for signs of feed intolerance when feeding is recommended. Document how the infant tolerated the procedure and ensure the patients are informed.